There's a bit of a learning curve for Sasuke, something I like to call the Will of Fire curve. I know, it's a stupid name, but it's essentially the name of his whole arc, the struggle with the concept of patriotism. Perhaps it's because of the recent release of Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, but I just feel required to reckon Itachi and Sasuke's relationship to that of the boss and Snake. One hero, a patriot, forced to do something horrid for the country they love, and then serve as the scapegoat for it, forcing the person they care about most to be their executioner. That person then learns of what happened to their loved one and proceeds to lose faith in the country they once served. The story of Naked Snake and Sasuke, who actually has a little snake theme thanks to Orochimaru, run parallel to each other in this way, as neither one truly grasped the will of the person they respected most until well after the death of the one they cared about. But pulling it back into the Naruto universe now, having explained what I feel about Sasuke and Itachi's relationship, I can't help but also note how very different the two of them are in personality. It makes me question many things, like what would happen if the roles were reversed? What if Sasuke were the elder brother and Itachi the younger? What would happen if the traitor and patriot switched roles? How might things be different? Could things even get to the same point? Today, I plan to answer that question. A tale of two brothers, of a hero turned villain, and a villain turned hero, and how their vastly different paths will drive them forward. Welcome to the Amagi. Before we begin, only 25% of our viewers are subscribed, so if you're a fan of the video, please like and double check if you are subscribed. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Sasuke Uchiha. This is the name given to the child born of Makoto and Fugaku Uchiha. A wonderful name for a firstborn. A special occasion it was. You see, Fugaku and Makoto were two very powerful and successful shinobi, who, during the course of the wars they fought, came closer into contact and discovered something in themselves that they didn't expect. A connection. Her beauty was matched only by her strong way of carrying herself, and his suave nature and handsome face could pull in any girl who would dare to be a suitor. The question was, who cast their spell on the other first? Whoever it was did not matter. They couldn't keep away from each other, and married so quickly that any wise man might say that they did so recklessly, and within a month, they were already pregnant. Look at Fugaku and Makoto over here, speedrunning life. But such was the mentality of a shinobi. Live fast, die young, and leave behind a good-looking corpse. When you lived your life on the field of battle, tomorrow was not promised. Only today, so any shinobi during this era of war had to view life as if it only lasted one day. It was a unique existence that resulted in a richer experience, but a far more stressful one. It was hard to exist without a future, but such was the call of patriotism. Just like the daylily, their bloom would last only for a day, and it was a question if they might ever bloom again. And so, for a shinobi, this was how they lived life. Everything was fast. Consequences be damned. What if we fall out of love? No time to think about that. What if we're not ready to raise a child? Silence, responsible side. Time is of the essence. Whether this was the right way to live, I leave up to each individual to decide. But this was how Fugaku and Makoto lived, and so now too would Sasuke live this way. Sasuke Uchiha, named after the legendary warrior, the only shinobi outside of the first two Hokage to ever rival Hiruzen in knowledge and skill. Naming not only to honor, but in hopes that perhaps in some way that name might rub off on their child, and bring with it the skill and talent required to ensure that he was in every way superior to Fugaku and Makoto. That was the job of a parent. And so Sasuke was brought into this world. But he would not be the only one brought into it. 5 years after the birth of Sasuke, Makoto and Fugaku began to feel a bit more comfortable with the concept of tomorrow, as they were slowly pulling out of wartime, and they had managed to survive thus far. So maybe it was time to focus on the more mundane things. Knowing this, they decided to have another child. Perhaps in her heart, Makoto secretly wished for a child. If so, she would be disappointed. This was another boy, and this time his name would be Itachi. At first, Makoto asked why Fugaku would want to name their son after a weasel. considering the way those were viewed and generalized as a traitorous or sneaky creature that would betray others. But Fugaku explained his point of view. I'm naming him for a weasel because I believe he will make for a wonderful shinobi. Not because he will betray us, but because I hope for my child to be agile, strong, quick, and possessing the abilities required to survive in this world. I want him to be as slick as he is dangerous. I want him to be intelligent. The name Itachi goes so much farther than the simple view most might see it under. I want my son to embody the word in almost every way, because the best shinobi in some way tend to. Makoto, after hearing Fugaku's explanation, fell in love with the name. It's perfect. Our little weasel. Our Itachi. Not much longer after the birth of Itachi did Sasuke get to meet his little brother for the first time. Ever the excitable boy, he was nearly moved to tears with joy, thinking about all the fun that they would have together. But until that time, Sasuke had much to do, much to learn, and Fugaku was sure to teach him. As the Third Shinobi World War was drawing to a close, Fugaku would bring Sasuke out to see everything. Sasuke had no prior idea of what it was that he'd be brought out to see. Fugaku kept it secret. That was when Sasuke saw it, his first dead body. And it wasn't the last either. There were so many there that they couldn't be counted. Shinobi had been digging holes to bury both friend and foe alike. Mass graves were still being covered as they spoke. But at some point, the shinobi gave up on digging holes and instead were gathering bodies to throw into the pyre. People with lives, histories, names, all turned to ash, blown away by the ever-forgetful breath of the wind, as if they never mattered, as if they never existed at all. Sasuke covered his mouth, his whole body shaking below him. "What is this?" he asked. "What happened?" "War happened," Fugaku said. Tears forming in Sasuke's eyes, he tried to fight them, but the view of what the shinobi world really was outweighed his strength completely, and they poured out like a stream of water from a broken pipe. "Why did you bring me here to see this?" he questioned. "Why would you do this to me?" In some way, Sasuke already knew it was too late for these people, but he was still alive. So why would Fugaku force his own son to look upon death in this way? Fugaku turned to Sasuke. "It is important for you to see this," he said. Why? Sasuke wondered. He was still so young that it didn't make sense to him. Fugaku knew this too. "One day you will understand, but I ask you to do one thing for me, Sasuke." "What?" Fugaku faced the field again. "Look again at the field and take a mental picture. Never forget what you're looking at. One day this will help you, even if it feels like it's hurting you now. When that day comes, you'll look back on this and know you did the right thing." Sasuke, as bad as it was, looked back to the field again. His eyes wide, he took in the appearance of everything. Faces forever frozen in fear and pain, bodies ruined, organs spilling out, appearances and faces slowly burning to ash in the pyres. Maggots. I won't describe any further. For Sasuke, this view was needful, and for his sake, he had to look upon it. Pale as a ghost, silent as the grave, Sasuke returned home. For the rest of the day, he did not say a thing. He remained quiet, keeping to himself. Makoto feared for him. Was it really necessary to show him these things? Yes, it was, Fugaku said. But at this age, when he won't be able to carry it properly, when he doesn't yet know how to compartmentalize? There's a reason why children are afraid of things that are impossible, Fugaku, and now he's seen something horrible and real. "He'll be fine," Fugaku said. "You don't know that," she said. "What if he stops eating? Stops sleeping? What will we do then?" Fugaku looked toward the stairs where Sasuke disappeared to. "He'll be fine," he said. "Sasuke is reaching the age where he'll need to enter the academy. And when he does, I want him to know what he's getting into. He deserves that level of honesty. So trust me on this one, and trust Sasuke to fight, to compartmentalize like his life depends upon it. Sometimes, only when we are pushed to our limits can we grow. The only thing setting coal apart from diamonds is pressure. Now Sasuke has the choice, to become either a diamond or remain a piece of coal." "What if he chooses coal?" Makoto asked. "I believe he will choose diamond, but even if I'm wrong, then whatever makes him happy. He'll survive this, and whatever he comes out on the other side as, I will love it, because it will be unapologetically him." The only possibility for him now is strength. And I'm already proud of him, Fugaku said. And with that, their conversation came to a close. The husband and wife decided that they would allow their son to deal with this his own way. For a while, Makoto was correct. For a couple days, eating and sleeping were a chore for Sasuke. Every time he blinked, every time he closed his eyes, he saw that image again. Every time he dozed off, he felt as though he were there as well, dying or dead, being eaten by flames and worms. But Fugaku and Makoto were patient, allowing him to eat and sleep as he needed, when he needed. Sasuke made the conscious decision not to give up, and kept trying to do both, even when he didn't want to. And even if it was only small steps, he was making progress. Then, one day, he broke through his shell. His determination pushed him to compartmentalize and understand why he was shown this. This was the world. Either he could use this to help make his job as a shinobi easier, or he could use this as motivation to not let the world fall into another world war. And from there, Sasuke began attending the academy. His desire to make his father proud was enough to make Sasuke go over the top with training. During this time, Sasuke would see many possible suitors come his way, but only one would catch his eye: Izumi Uchiha. She held a confidence, yet a gentle nature. She had strength in her heart. Sasuke didn't know why he admired her so much or what it was about her that drew him to her. Only later in life would he realize that it was because she was much like his mother. She was kind and sweet, yet powerful. Sasuke and Izumi would often hang out after school, enjoying their youth, playing games, visiting the arcade, things like that. The two of them grew close together as time passed by. But then came the day that changed everything. One October night, as the cool wind blew in, heralding Halloween's yearly visit, the silence was shattered by a roar and a howl. The sound of a demon fox echoing through the night. Sasuke, baby Itachi in his arms, would seek out shelter with Izumi as Fugaku and Makoto rushed to aid in the attack, hoping to push the Ninetales back. However, due to mistrust of the Uchiha clan, they were relegated to the duties of forming a defensive line. The one clan that could take the fox down were relegated to guard duty, while other clans, unable to do the same, would throw themselves into the flames and die. It was stupid, senseless, offensive. Leadership would rather die than trust the clan that co-founded this village. This was only the beginning of exclusion. The Uchiha did nothing wrong, but were mistreated, acting as though they were secret enemies when they were nothing but support for the village. That night, the fourth Hokage and his wife died, and Fugaku knew it didn't have to be so. Fugaku and Minato were friends, close friends, and because the Leaf's leadership refused to allow them to help him, Minato died. And what was worse, after that night, the village blamed the Uchiha clan. But how could they? How could they blame the Uchiha when they had nothing to do with it? They weren't allowed to help. How was it their fault? And as if that weren't enough, due to the damages caused by the fighting, the Uchiha clan's compound was moved from their place in the center of the village to a place in the outskirts, farther away from the village center than any other clan. This was calculated, targeted, as if telling the Uchiha that they were basically all but out of the village. The longer Fugaku boiled on it, the more it became apparent that he wasn't the only one pissed off about this. All of the other elders of the clan were also very displeased with this outcome, these decisions. They slowly, one by one, began to voice their opinions and discontent until Fugaku told them that, instead of airing their dirty laundry, they should instead keep it secret. Speak of it only in the correct company to avoid drawing any attention. Of course, the damage was already done. The village heads knew what was going on and decided to keep a close eye on it. That's why they called in Shisui, one of their top agents and loyalists to the village. Maybe it was because of the job, or maybe it was just because something about Sasuke interested Shisui, but he began trying to get close to Sasuke, asking him about his views on peace, what his views on patriotism were, trying to slowly, bit by bit, sway the boy to his side, even going so far as to train him. Building a bond with Sasuke, he began attempting to get the boy to help him. After only a couple of months of spending time together, Shisui would tell him about what Fugaku was doing, trying to get Sasuke to side against his father, seeding distrust, trying to get Sasuke to see the danger of what it was that Fugaku was doing. what the entire Uchiha clan was doing. At first, Sasuke bucked this idea, refusing to side against his father. Seeing that Sasuke was growing defensive, he realized that Sasuke was not willing to accept that his father was flawed. So, with Kodo Amatsukami active, he began to try and seed in the boy's mind something new. Not that Fugaku was stupid or anything, but that he and the Uchiha clan were making an honest mistake, not understanding the gravity of what they were doing because their feelings were hurt. With this idea, Sasuke became a bit more pliable. And due to this, Sasuke began to keep tabs on Fugaku, listening to things he had to say. And when Sasuke, through Shisui's help, actually managed to pass the test to become a genin, Sasuke was allowed into the Naka Shrine meetings. Through this, Shisui knew that he needed to keep Sasuke close, else if his fathers swayed him any, Sasuke might break out of the Kodo Amatsukami by simply realizing what he believed was wrong. That was the point of the Kodo Amatsukami. It wasn't a technique that decided what you believed, but a technique that forced you to see a new perspective, and held your hand into getting you to follow the same logic as the caster. With this, most people, due to pride, chose the option Kodo Amatsukami presented them, because they thought that they were intelligent enough to do so. And so, as each meeting came and went, Shisui had to recontextualize everything Fugaku said to ensure Sasuke stayed on his side. Through this, Sasuke continued to keep tabs, and in exchange, Shisui continued training Sasuke until Sasuke was skilled enough to make Chunin. And at that time, Shisui would put in a good word with Hiruzen to get Sasuke on the Anbu with him, knowing that if Sasuke were on the Anbu, he could keep better tabs on Sasuke, and might have a tighter grip. If Sasuke became more independent and learned to trust Shisui even more, Sasuke would likely commit to Shisui's side against the Uchiha clan. And for a time, this worked. Sasuke seemed to display a level of patriotism that was on par with Shisui's. And so, carefully, Shisui began to open up about the abilities he had, hoping that Sasuke would never make the connection that the technique was used on him. For that purpose, Shisui made it sound like he had only just awakened his Mangekyo Sharingan and discovered this ability. Together, they began to plot, informing Hiruzen of their plan to use Kodo Amatsukami to convince the heads of the Uchiha to drop the coup. Hiruzen agreed to it, but before they could pull it off, Danzo, the head of the Anbu and Root, would steal one of Shisui's eyes. Shisui knew that without it, he could not save the Uchiha clan, and considering that his death was nigh, would offer to Sasuke his final Mangekyo Sharingan before jumping into the Naka River to his demise. Sasuke, upon seeing this, would awaken his own Mangekyo Sharingan, just as Shisui hoped. This was a last-ditch effort on Shisui's part, hoping that Sasuke might awaken a technique that could help them, but all he awakened were two variants of Amaterasu. One for casting the flames alone, the other for casting and controlling those flames. Sasuke was unable to use these to convince anyone, and as things grew more dire, Danzo approached Sasuke to offer him an ultimatum. If he helped Danzo destroy the Uchiha clan, Danzo promised that he would let him and Itachi live, but if he refused, both Sasuke and his little brother would perish. It was then that something nobody thought would happen occurred. Sasuke broke out of the Kodo Amatsukami. The patriotism that Shisui, Hiruzen, and Danzo had come to rely upon snapped. What once was a willful decision to throw even his life away for the village turned to hatred. Sasuke saw his loyalty repaid only by disloyalty from the village. They did not care for him. His life meant so very little. That's when the thing his father showed him all of those years ago clicked into place. It wasn't to make Sasuke question peace. It wasn't to make Sasuke toughen up for what he had to do. It was his first lesson as a shinobi. Your life means nothing. You are expendable to the village. You are expected to throw away everything for a village that won't even acknowledge you exist. And in that moment, upon returning home to the clan, Sasuke spoke. "Dad, can I talk to you about something very important?" Fugaku, looking up from his card game with Makoto and Itachi, saw the look in Sasuke's eyes. Folding his cards, he spoke. "Keep going without me. When I get back, I'm wiping you both," he said with a smile. Sasuke and Fugaku would go to the office, where Fugaku would close the door. "What do you need, Sasuke?" Fugaku asked. Sasuke closed the blinds. I need to talk to you about something important. I was fooled. Fugaku questioned what this was about, and so Sasuke told him. A few years ago, I met a man named Shisui. I'm sure you remember him. Fugaku nodded. He didn't seem very pleased about our plans to rise up against the village, Fugaku said. Sasuke nodded. Well, yeah. I began to trust him, and due to this, I began to share information you shared with me to him. Fugaku's face displayed a subtle rage at the betrayal, though he took a deep breath and let it out. What more then? Fugaku asked. Together we began to work with Hiruzen. I trusted Hiruzen. I was led to believe that if we rose up against the village, the clan would cause a civil war that might trigger the start of the Fourth Shinobi World War. But I did not want to see the world suffer, so we began working on a way to talk you down. But not long ago, Shisui was attacked by the head of the Anbu, and that led to his death. Fugaku looked at Sasuke, the light of understanding glowing in his eyes. The clan had begun to call Sasuke a friend killer, thinking that Sasuke killed his own friend to attain the Mangekyo Sharingan. The knowledge that it was Danzo changed much. Sasuke continued. The only person who we believed could change the clan's mind was killed, and now there's no hope. I was ready to keep trying, but we've run out of time. Danzo approached me and gave me an ultimatum. He believes me to be blindly loyal. He told me that I should help eradicate the Uchiha clan to save my own life, and Itachi's life. Fugaku crossed his arms. And what decision did you make? He asked. Obviously, I chose the clan, Sasuke said. If I didn't, I wouldn't have told you. My goal was to stop the clan from making what I had believed to be a mistake and find a peaceful solution to our problem. But now I know that there isn't one, and now I know the truth. Neither my life, nor yours, nor any life in the Uchiha clan is worth anything to Konoha, and they are planning to destroy them. I refuse to stand by and let that happen. I gave Konoha my loyalty, even going so far as to betray my own kin for them, and then they sell me out this way by choosing to eradicate my family? No. Hell no. I'm not doing that. I'll destroy them if I have to. Come hell or high water, we're taking over this village. Fugaku began to smile. Well, you made some mistakes all right, but you finally came around. His smile faded. If Konoha really has those plans, then we must move quickly before they've got the chance to do anything. Thankfully, we've been preparing, just in case. I'll send secret messages out to other clan heads and tell them to head to the Naka Shrine for an emergency meeting. Tonight, we finish this, Fugaku said. And so they met that night, with Fugaku informing the entire clan of everything Sasuke had learned. However, he worded it in such a way as to make it sound like Sasuke had always been a double agent, only giving as much information as Fugaku would allow him to, only to, in return, grab the information they needed about the village's plans. Fugaku would then tell them that the village had opted to eradicate the Uchiha, and at this point, the attack was imminent. There's no way that Konoha doesn't suspect that Sasuke has informed us of their plans, meaning that at any point in time, they may attempt to attack us. They may be on their way right now. This is what we've prepared for. Tonight, the Uchiha take command of the village. The entire crowd roared in approval. Fugaku began distributing weapons and items to any shinobi that could fight, from genin to jonin and everything in between. As he did so, one of his higher-ranking officers approached him and whispered a question in his ear. Fugaku thought about it for a moment before speaking. In that case, enact the Ikashinju protocol. The officer stood silent for a moment before nodding. Yes, sir. As they distributed the weapons and items, Sasuke took up his own, his Mangekyo Sharingan burning with anger and hatred. He was wrong to place his trust in Konoha, and now he was going to show them how wrong they were to violate that trust. Armed to the teeth, Sasuke and Fugaku stepped out. Fugaku looked back at the few remaining. There were but a few warriors left, just enough to keep the peace and protect the women and children. Makoto held Itachi in her arms as Izumi remained nearby. Fugaku gave a nod to his wife. Makoto returned it with a smile, mouthing the words, "Good luck." And from there, they exited the Naka Shrine. What's the first point of business? Sasuke asked. Fugaku looked at his son. I too possess the Mangekyo Sharingan, and mine possess genjutsu prowess so powerful that it's been said to have the capability of capturing a tailed beast under its gaze. Sasuke was already piecing it together. The village believes that we're responsible for the Nine-Tails attack. They blame us for it. We had nothing to do with the last one, but they bring upon the next by our own hand with their venom. Now, don't get out of sorts, Sasuke, Fugaku said. We're aiming for a bloodless coup. I am merely going after the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki as an insurance policy. I do not plan to use it unless we're threatened. Our job is to capture the Hokage without so much as a single life lost. So at this point, when I give you the signal, you should be able to simply walk into the Hokage's office and tell him exactly what's happening. Neither I nor Hiruzen want to see anyone die. I want to offer him the chance to hand over leadership without spilling any blood, and I believe we can do that. Sasuke nodded his head begrudgingly. All that matters is that the clan is safe, and that the ones responsible for Shisui's death are brought to justice. Fugaku nodded in understanding, and so they left to go their own separate ways. Sasuke set up with his small squad outside of the Hokage's office. The lights were still on, even at this time of night, meaning that there was likely a meeting going on in there. Sasuke sat there and awaited his father's signal. Fugaku made his way through the back alleys of Konoha. He felt bad for what he was about to do. Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki were close friends of his, and he had hoped with all his heart that Hiruzen would not force his hand. It was not Hiruzen's personality to endanger anyone needlessly. His heart was soft, and they could use that against him. And so, as they reached the apartment where the unguarded Jinchuriki of the Nine-Tails, Naruto Uzumaki, was being held, they entered the facility. Coming to Naruto's door, Fugaku knocked. He waited for a moment. As it passed by, he knocked again. There was the sound of a latch opening. As the door slowly opened, Naruto peeked outside. The boy couldn't have been much older than 6, not much younger than Itachi was right now. Seeing him standing there, his expression neutral, yet covering for a skepticism and hidden fear, Fugaku felt his heart break. He uttered a silent prayer that Hiruzen would take his deal. He didn't want to do anything to put Naruto at risk. "Hello, Naruto. Do you know who I am?" Naruto shook his head. "I am Fugaku Uchiha, and I was a very close friend of your mommy and daddy." "You knew my mom and dad?" Naruto asked. Fugaku nodded. "Indeed, I knew them well, and I wanted to visit you so I could explain to you about them. Is that okay?" Naruto thought for a second. How could he trust this man? Was what he said true? All the same, his curiosity ran away with him. Opening the door, he let Fugaku in. Fugaku looked back at one of his men, silently telling him to go inform Sasuke. Fugaku stepped inside, flanked on either side by his 4 guardian shinobi. Stepping in, he lifted Naruto up in his arms. "My, you're a big boy," Fugaku said with a smile. "You remind me of my own son, Itachi. I bet you and Itachi would be best friends." Taking Naruto deeper into the house, he sat down on the couch and placed the boy on his knee. "Let's see. How about I tell you who your father really was? Do you know the 4th Hokage, Minato Namikaze?" Sasuke waited for a little while until one of his father's team showed up. With the signal now received, Sasuke would walk into the Hokage's office where he would push past the receptionist. "Wait," she would call out. "You have to have an appointment." Sasuke ignored her and took the stairs up. Stepping into the hall, he walked to the doors of the Hokage's office. Within this room he was about to enter was perhaps possibly the most powerful man in all of the world, and he was about to give up his power willingly to Sasuke and his father. There was a bit of pride in that. Sasuke was pleased by this. Stepping into the room, he was surprised to not see Hiruzen, but Danzo Shimura. "What are you doing here?" Sasuke asked. Danzo then spoke. "I could ask you the same question. That is, if I didn't already know. Your plan has already failed, Sasuke. There is no surrender for Konoha, only the Uchiha's demise. In moments, your father will be dead, and Naruto secured." Sasuke's eyes widened as he ran out of the room. He had to get to Naruto, ASAP. As Fugaku told stories to Naruto, the young lad listened intently, feeling as though everything there was to know about him, save for his role as Jinchuriki, was revealed. But as Fugaku talked, he kept his eyes open. Despite that, he still didn't see it coming when a squad of Anbu entered the apartment, breaching through the windows, their masks obscuring their faces. The Uchiha began to fight against them. Fugaku was strong though, and he easily took out 2 Anbu agents on his own. But how could he have ever expected one of the Anbu he was facing to possess a Mangekyo Sharingan? At first, he thought it might be Kakashi, but then the harsh realization hit him. The eye was on the wrong side. Fugaku's attack passed right through the Anbu agent as he phased completely through Fugaku before turning around and pushing his Tanto through the man's back. piercing his heart. With the Uchiha all on the ground, bleeding out, the mysterious Sharingan Anbu agent turned to look at Naruto. He considered taking Naruto for himself as it was. All he would need to do is kill the other agents with him and take the boy, but he decided not to do so. After all, he knew that his relationship with Danzo was, at least for the time being, important, and if he made off with the Jinchuriki, surely Danzo would cut him loose. Danzo was a useful fool, and until that use ran out, the man felt it best to leave the Nine Tails right where it was until he could come back for it. And so, picking Naruto up, he spoke. "Don't be afraid. We're here to rescue you. Those mean men were going to hurt you, but you're safe now. We're going to take you to Hiruzen." And with that, the Anbu left to a secret location where Hiruzen was waiting. Sasuke made it back only moments later to find his clansmen dead, his father laying in a pool of blood. Sasuke began to growl in anger. The bloodless coup that his father had hoped to achieve was now no longer possible, and Sasuke would have his vengeance. Stepping outside into the night with his group, he let off a flare to serve as the signal that it was time for Plan B, aka torch everything. The Uchiha began to invade, but this was far from a one-sided deal on the Uchiha's advantage. The rest of the village had already been rallied for this. Danzo had a Plan B as well, and Hiruzen was putting it to work now. Not only were the other shinobi of the village facing off against the Uchiha, but also the other clans. The Yamanaka, the Nara, the Akamichi. The whole Ino Shikacho trio was here, but aiding them in the visual prowess department were the Hyuga, who with their powerful taijutsu and dojutsu were possibly the only clan in Konoha to be close to an equal with the Uchiha. Whatever the Hyuga lacked though against the Uchiha was quickly picked up by the other clans, and it became a one-sided stomp in favor of Konoha. One by one, each of the Uchiha shinobi were falling, and by the time it was over, Sasuke was all that remained. Getting out of the way of the battle, he hoped to rush back to the Naka Shrine, but it was too late. Shinobi were already marching through. Though he attempted to fight through them, he ended up deeply wounded and was unable to reach the shrine. Fearing the worst, he fled the village, considering this his greatest failure. He believed it to be his faults that the clan was shattering, and because of that, his hatred for Konoha only grew deeper with every moment. Elsewhere though, a particular Anbu force, sent not by Danzo but by Hiruzen, was making their way to the Naka Shrine. Hiruzen believed deeply that much of what happened that night was Danzo's fault, and there would be repercussions. But for now, Hiruzen wanted to find the Uchiha clan and safeguard them before they could be killed. However, as the Anbu captain under orders of Hiruzen opened the doors to the Naka Shrine, he was astounded by what he saw. Every single Uchiha in the room appeared to be dead. The Anbu began to walk through the sea of corpses, looking for survivors, but it began to look bleak. It was then that the captain noticed what seemed to be a large punch bowl, mostly empty now. Running his finger around the rim, he sniffed the contents. "Poison," he said, looking back. "They would rather kill themselves than be captured." Sorrow and a tinge of disgust present in his voice. "We should inform the..." It was at that moment that one of the other agents called over to him. "We got a live one," they said. The captain walked over to see, buried under two women, a young child, still conscious and awake, his mother dead over him, holding not one but two empty cups. She was unable to force this fate upon her child, and that child now displayed his own set of Mangekyo Sharingan through tear-filled eyes. The captain removed his mask. This was against protocol, but he needed to assure the child that he was no longer in danger. Setting the mask to the side, he knelt down. "Don't be afraid. I'm not here to hurt you," he said. "What do you say we get out of here?" As Itachi was lifted into the arms of the Anbu agent, all he could do was look down at the bodies of his own mother and the girlfriend of his brother. "Why did they have to do this?" he asked. The agent spoke. "I do not know, but what matters right now is that you're alive." "Am I?" Itachi asked. "I don't feel alive." The captain wasn't sure how to respond to this. "Let's just get out of here." And that's going to be where I pause it for today. The first part was mostly about Sasuke, but the next part will be largely about Itachi. I hope you'll all be here for it when it eventually releases. Sasuke's reaction is what I feel he would most likely do. Sasuke was always much more emotional than Itachi, or at least more expressive about his feelings. Itachi had every reason to give into the curse of hatred, but never did. So seeing Sasuke take that pain and turn it into fuel to set the world on fire just makes sense. It's what I feel like what would have happened at least. But what about you? What do you think would have happened? What do you think will happen in the next chapter? Let me know in the comments below, along with any other what-if ideas. We're considering expanding our horizons a little bit by including other series and anime into this massive plot. More worlds for Fu and Madara to play around with. But we can only do it if you all would enjoy such a thing. So be sure to let us know what other series and what-ifs you would like to see us do in addition to the Naruto content we plan to keep pumping out. Be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to be notified when new videos come out, and check out these other videos from our library. Until next time, peace out.